This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
We're here. Paulie and Mark Malusis, VSiN, the sports betting network. Follow the Money. Big program coming up. Mike Paulman studio. You cannot be serious. Also, his thoughts on some NFL futures, the MLB card, ton of day games to go over as well, and his prediction on what's going to happen with the contest here at Circa. Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated. College football right around the corner. The top 25 at Sports Illustrated that they released today, and also his going back to media days all through the month of July. His thoughts on college football. Matt Humans with some preseason picks coming up as well. And Jeff Seeley in half an hour, St. Jude, as we'll talk some golf. Moose, how you doing, friend? A lot going on here. I can't believe this Lakers story, which we'll get into. I mean, I'm stunned by this, $12.5 billion. But first things first, did you come back with the Rays over again?
I did. That was my only winner of the night, Paulie, because I gave out the Mets, I gave out the White Sox, so I'll take the Rays and A's late out there in Sacramento. And Tampa still riding that heater, and they're up on Tampa. They're up on Sacramento, or the Athletics, I should say, right now, as that game got going early out there in Sacramento. So, yes, got the over last night. It's a good Wednesday. Good to be with you. Looking forward to the next 3 hours.
All right. We got a lot of day baseball. And speaking of that game, I wish we were on the air earlier because Tampa run line and the game over again. This has been the gift that keeps on giving. They're trying to go 9-0 on this road trip, and it's Rasmussen against Perkins. The numbers on Perkins are just horrendous, how bad he's been, and he's been batting practice. Rasmussen, 20 scoreless the last 3 games. The A's have lost the last 9 started by Perkins. He personally is 0-5 with an ERA of 7. He's got an ERA of 9 going back, and they've lost 35 of 44, and it's already 3-0 Tampa in the third inning. They're minus 1,100 in play. You can jump in if you want to lay the 4.5 runs, or you can take 9.5 in play. But it appears that the Rays are going to do the incredible here and run the road trip 9-0. Awesome. What a story.
No, unbelievable. And they're gone in the American League East, which we've chatted about a little bit over the first 2 days that I've joined you, filling in for Mitch this week, Paulie. But I think the chance for the A's to win a game in this series was that first game. And then Tampa put up that 8 spot late and won that game 10-6. Yep. So you look at it, the Rays have been really a remarkable story. They get a lot out of a little. Not only have they put up 3 runs here in the first 3 innings, but they've also got 7 hits. The A's have just 1 hit on the afternoon, trailing 3-0, and hard-pressed to believe that the Athletics are going to be able to come back and knock off the Tampa Bay Rays. But, yeah, wish we were on a little bit earlier, but we're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy probably another Tampa Bay Rays win.
Yeah, and the run should keep coming for them as Perkins has been so bad and the highest ERA since July as well, though it didn't work out yesterday, fading the Angels. As for whatever reason, Texas couldn't get the bats going. All you needed was 3 runs. Colorado and Arizona tied at 1 in the second. It's Kelly against Feltner. Incredible numbers today from Steve Mackin at VSiN.com. Feltner on the road against division opponents, 1-11. That's the Rockies' record, and his numbers have been awful all year. They touched him up in the first, but left a couple ducks on the pond, and now the Rockies have tied it at 1. Arizona minus 160 in play, total of 10.5. Now, Moose, we have a 3-way tie between Arizona, Philly, and the Padres are ready to go. More on this game coming up as they try to get the broom out on Milwaukee. But Arizona, you can't lose games like this late in the season, as they lost at home as a big favorite against Colorado.
No, you can, and that's why kind of there was a push toward Arizona this afternoon after that loss last night. But, you mentioned Feltner. I think he's allowed 18 home runs so far this season as well. I mean, there were some favorable stats when you look at Kelly. I think 18 career starts against Colorado. His ERA is a tad over 3. So some favorable stats when you're looking at Arizona this afternoon, but that game is tied up 1 early on.
Okay, and does anybody want to make the playoffs for that final wild card in the American League? The Twins lead Baltimore 7-4 in the 7th. They're trying to take 2 out of 3 in that series. But I guess if no one's going to take it, the Tigers will say, we'll do it, right? As they won again, and they've won 8 of 10. Texas lost to the Angels, as I mentioned earlier, they have a half-game lead on Detroit. Minnesota's a game and a half back. Cleveland's a mess. They've lost 8 of 10. They're 2 back. Baltimore's 2 back. How about the Blue Jays trying to sweep the Red Sox? Now they're going to have to jump over 5 teams, but Toronto's only 2.5 back.
Yeah, it's hard to envision Toronto getting there, but maybe. I mean, it's been strange. I mean, it's really kind of, pick your poison in the American League. Which team do you think does, which team of all of these ugly teams is the prettiest? I mean, that's it, because none of them are great. It's just a matter of which one's going to get across the finish line in a decidedly average American League, outside of what Tampa's been able to do, outside of what the Yankees have been able to do. So, yeah, if Detroit, and maybe, getting rid of the Skubal distraction is allowing them to refocus here. Not only him, but they got rid of Mize as well. Give the San Diego Padres a ton of credit for how aggressive they were at the MLB deadline. And I know we're talking about the AL. So you look at the Tigers, imagine they go out there, they trade Skubal to the Dodgers, and they make the playoffs in the American League. I mean, that would be remarkable for a team that came into this year with expectations, even after the collapse a season ago, and really underperformed. And that's why Skubal was moved to the Dodgers.
Wheeler didn't have it today. Cardinals lead the Phillies 5-1 in the 7th. You're never out of the game within play. St. Louis -3.5, -220 at DraftKings, 7.5 the total, under -120. He had been awesome off a loss, and when the Phillies had lost, which doesn't happen often because he's following Sanchez, but he didn't have it today. And Leahy's been awesome. 2 runs or fewer, 8 straight starts for St. Louis, and he shut down the Phillies as they're up 5-1 in the 7th and looking to win that series as well.
Yeah, and pressure on Philadelphia. I don't think there's any question about it. The interim manager, Don Mattingly, when you look at him taking over for Rob Thompson early on in the season, the fact that they added Luis Arraez at the MLB trade deadline, the fact that Harper was said, move me to the outfield. I think if you're looking at one team that would be a massive disappointment if they don't make it to the playoffs in the National League, it was going to be the Philadelphia Phillies. Paulie, it wasn't that long ago we were thinking about the Phillies in terms of challenging the Atlanta Braves atop the National League East. I mean, that's a thought that's gone by the wayside here, but Phillies have got to punch their ticket to the postseason, especially when you look at the age on that team, the expectations coming into the year, and how they were able to turn their season around.
What a stunner if they can't even make the playoffs, no doubt. And that's they could miss out. So, the big one ready to go in 3 minutes. Robbie Ray at home against May and the Brewers. San Diego trying to sweep the series, 14-4 run. They're averaging 5 runs a game. Merrill has an RBI in 6 games in a row. Are you surprised the Brewers are favored with May?
I am a little bit, especially when you look at, I was looking it up, especially when you look at May's stats on the road this year. I think his road ERA is 6.31. I mean, that's not particularly good. Now, I understand he was recently acquired by the Milwaukee Brewers, pitched well, making his Brewer debut, but now he's on the road taking on a San Diego Padre team. And it's a little bit of a differentiation there, but yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned, especially with the way San Diego's playing. I think we've seen it here in Major League Baseball. We've seen it certainly with the Rays. We've seen it with the Red Sox when teams start to get on a little bit of a heater, and San Diego is on more than just a little bit of a heater here. Maybe you ride the hot hand here. Yes, I think with the pitching matchup, I am a little surprised. I think it's a case of looking at Milwaukee and looking at their record, more a case than watching what we're seeing right now on the field.
Yeah, and one more. We'll get to the card later in the show, but one game I wanted to mention with you, Moose. There's a lot of bad teams in baseball right now, and you're making money fading these bad teams. I think it's time to throw. Maybe we're too late, but it's time to throw Seattle on there if you already didn't do it, because Seattle's been a mess, and 28 times they've been held to 1 run or fewer, and again they got shut down. Yankees beat them again. The Yankees are 4-0 against them, and they've held Seattle to 6 runs total in those games. Yeah, and Warren's only $1.20 at home against Bryce Miller coming up at 4 Pacific.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And listen, we talked about it yesterday, Paulie. Woo's pitched well at Yankee Stadium, and he pitched well once again last night for the Seattle Mariners. Unfortunately, the Mariners couldn't score any runs. Weathers gave the Yankees another really good start. I think that's 4 in a row when you're looking at Ryan Weathers, to where he has pitched really well, back into the rotation starter, one of those gems when the Yankees picked up from the Miami Marlins during the course of the offseason. But the Yankees actually coming through with hitting with runners in scoring position. That's the stunner, Paulie. Right. I mean, they didn't hit the ball over the fence. They were actually 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Chisholm with a big hit, McMahon with a big hit, Trent Grisham with a big hit. I think that basically, left Yankee fans stunned in the tri-state area after watching that game last night, because they are horrific team with ducks on the pond. If they don't hit the ball over the fence, from what you've seen from this Yankee team, they don't score a lot of runs, especially without Judge, Stanton, and Bellinger being a part of that lineup. But yeah, Seattle's been if you have to think about one of the great disappointments this year in Major League Baseball, the Seattle Mariners are right there. I mean, I don't think there's any question with the expectations coming into the year and how they have underperformed. And you mentioned it, the lineup really punchless.
Absolutely. What's the status of Boone if they don't have a good season or go out early?
You know what? I think they love him. You know what, Paulie? I don't think I think they love Boone. They, likable, affable. I think he's got the respect in that clubhouse. I think Cashman likes working with him. We get, you go get a cup of coffee here in the morning. Yankee fans, all they want to talk about is Boone, Boone, Boone. And I get it. I just don't think the Yankees hold themselves to the standard anymore of win or else.
Wow.
If they lose this year in the playoffs, you'll see it. There's going to be an excuse. The inherent excuse was we were banged up all season long, and Judge couldn't get into a rhythm, or Stanton couldn't get into a rhythm. But I don't think Boone's job is on the line. I don't think he's on the hot seat at all. I think regardless of what happens in the playoffs, I think he's going to be coming back.
You got to run that by humans later in the show. I mean, he can't stand Boone. He thinks he's so bad. The job he's done. A 3-run home run by Colorado. They now lead 4-1. Kelly has nothing in this one. 12.5 the in-play total. They're only $2 to win, even though they're up 3 runs in play at DraftKings. I cannot believe what transpired earlier this morning. Imagine you buy something and flip it and make $2.5 billion in a year. The Lakers were sold again, and I have a ton of questions coming up next on Follow the Money.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So the A's have lost 35 of 44, and they've lost the last 9 games started by Perkins, who's 0-5 personally with an ERA of 7, and he's at it again today. It's 7-2 Rays in the 4th inning. He's given up 11 hits in 4 innings and 7 runs. Man, this team is be nice. What a run to go 9-0 on a road trip, I'll tell you. And great
that's a
job.
good run. Maybe it's going to be the Rays' year. Maybe it's Hicks just hit a 3-run homer to give that 7-2 lead in the 4th inning. Crazy.
Yeah, and the Twins just finished off the Orioles. That's a final 7-5. Our weekly visit with Jeff Seeley at Cupmaker Jeff on X. Live Spaces on X tonight. He's on the Progressive guest line to talk FedEx St. Jude Championship, and a lot of picks coming up here as well. Tell us about the event, my friend.
Guys, we're in the FedEx Cup playoffs, right? We got the St. Jude Classic here. So one of the nice things about this is we're going to get 4 rounds of golf from everyone. So there's no cut this week, and we'll have 50 players advance and go the next round and see who can scoop the big pot.
Okay. What do you want to do with your top of the leaderboard? What do you want to start your card with?
Yeah, guys. So this week I started with Tommy Fleetwood. He's made 6 trips to Southwind, and he's walked away with 3 top 4 finishes, and 2 of those were his last 3 trips. So last year his chipping let him down. Otherwise, he probably wins, but he finished 3rd. So he's had a very good recent form run, finishing T14 or better in 6 straight events. That's probably why he's minus 164 to finish top 20 this week. But I really like that price a lot. I'd give him probably a 70% chance to finish top 20. So I'm going to play some Tommy on the outright, but my favorite way to play him is top 20 at minus 165. And then Fitzpatrick, I played at 23-1 a little bit, but he's had an unbelievable 2026, given us 2 winners on this show already this year. 17 events for Fitzpatrick this calendar year, 2 wins, 4 more finishes inside the top 5, only 1 missed cut. This year it's mainly been iron play as he's gained 11 on approach gained on approach in 11 straight events prior to the Open. Played this course 7 times, 3 top 6 finishes, so we know he can perform here. It's really just a function of getting his irons back on track. Another way to play Fitzpatrick this week would be in the each way market. You can find him like 8 ways in each way market at 18 to 1 or so. But other than that, I would play him outright 23 to 1 and top 10. So at top of the board for me, it's Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick.
Jeff, when you look at the course, what kind of golfer does it favor down there in Memphis?
It's funny because we've seen a lot of different players have success here. And so while it's not super long, but it's not super short like it was last week. So I think, honestly, it's guys who come in with form who are, I know this is going to sound kind of silly, but guys who are just striking the ball well, which kind of goes without saying, but that's really what it takes is guys who are ball strikers who are hitting the ball well at the time and making some putts. So what I look at more than anything is current form has got to be good coming in. You can't come in here ice cold and expect just to show up. And then B, have you had any course history here? And I've seen, it's common that the guys who've had some success here continue to have success. The course form here seems to be pretty consistent. So that's why a lot of the guys I'm looking at this week have at least had some decent success here.
Okay. How about guys mid-tier range now in the 30 to 40 to 1 range?
Yeah. So since the end of April, Justin Thomas has finished 23rd or better in 7 of his last 9 events. So interestingly enough, it hasn't been his hallmark approach game that's led to that, but it's been a very, very good short game. So JT's ball striking's been hit or miss, but there's one very clear bet for me this week. My favorite bet of the week is JT top 30 at minus 196. Yes, it's a steep price, but given his current form and the fact that he's played this course 6 times and never finished worse than 30th, along with the fact that he's finished 23rd or better in 7th of his last 9, I think that's a great price. Like, this is my favorite play of the card. I'm going to play a little on the outright, but I think that's a really good way to play it. We're going to talk about another guy here, Russell Henley, at 39 to 1. Mm-hmm. Played 17 events in 2026, has 12 finishes inside the top 25, including a win. The concern with Henley is that his around the green game has been abysmal lately, having lost an average of 2.5 strokes over the last 6 events. His putting largely made up for that, thankfully for him. Ball striking's been okay. He hasn't been great or horrible here, but here's another case where like minus 200 seems like a very fair price for a top 30. So on DraftKings right now, you can parlay a Henley top 30 and JT top 30 at like plus 125 or so. I think that's another really interesting way to play this, and I'd have a little bit on each on the outrights. And then probably the bomb squad, the long shots every week. Akshay Bhatia, I think 76 to 1 is a great example of form versus history. Yeah. He's coming in with seven missed cuts in 2026, and missed cuts in his last 2 events, but he can't miss a cut here, right? There's no cut. So the question is, can he finish top 10? His last 2 finishes here have been T6 and T12, and he finished T5 at the Travelers just a few weeks ago. So I'd say, yeah, he can finish top 10 here. I think plus 430 for a top 10 for Bhatia is a great buy. I give him at least a 25% chance at top 10, so I think we have some value there. And then lastly, Aaron Rai, another guy I look at in the top 30 market. Since early May, he was T5 at the Myrtle, won the PGA, and has had 4 top 30s or better. He hasn't been great anywhere, but he hasn't been horrible anywhere either. And again, there's no cut. So as much as I like this, as much as I liked last week where he finished T29, I think that's a very good comparison. This week, he's played here 6 times, finished inside the top 30 4 times. So another scenario where on DraftKings, where you get a guy, this week he's minus 125 top 30, very good price for Aaron Rai. Again, so a little conservative on the top 20s and top 30s, but I think it's a great way to play this week. And then sprinkle a little on the outright if you want some action on that side.
That's fantastic.
Jeff, who are you?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no. I just had another question. Who are you fading? Like, who are you concerned about coming into the St. Jude? That might be toward the top of the market when you're looking at the betting markets. Anybody that you would stay away from?
It's interesting because I'm actually not going to play Scotty or Rory this week. Again, a no cut event. A lot of talent here in this field, and not that either can't win, but especially Scotty at plus 450. There's just too much talent, and everybody's going to get 4 rounds. He's going to have to outrun a lot of people. So yeah, I'm out on him. Like again, Rory, kind of the same thing. So I think this week is the week you try to find some I like Batia and Rai, I think, are two great examples, right? Rai won a major this year. Batia's won. Like, those are two guys, 76 and 78 to 1. They can win a major. They can win an event like this. So that's a great price. This is not about this week about kind of just buying guys lower on the board. This week, to me, on my mind, is about getting value in top 20s, top 30s, and then throwing some darts at some higher price guys like 70, 80 to 1 who we know can win. So to be honest with you, I'm fading a lot of guys at the top of the board. Again, Scotty, Rory to begin with, but even the Obergs, the Morikawas, Cam Youngs, they're all good odds. They're all obviously very good players, but everybody's a good player at this point. There's no scrubs left in the field. So now it's just a matter of finding a little bit of value in the placement markets and trying to hit some darts in the outrights.
Last time you were on, you mentioned a meet and greet with Sophie Cunningham and your daughter. How did that go with the Fever?
It was great. Sophie Cunningham is she was awesome. It was a great game. Unfortunately, you guys saw the Aces game. Obviously, we lost with 2 buzzer beaters. What a heartbreaking game! But yeah, it was amazing. She couldn't have been cooler. Awesome event. The Fever gonna help support that, and it was great. And I'm still long on this team. Guys, you guys watch this. They have the best backcourt in the WNBA. They have an all-star power forward, and so it's just a question of can the drama stay low, and which is always
no
the question.
Yeah.
I think with this team, and Sophie might be a polarizing character, but in our case, this was if you're a veteran and you can bring your kid, she would do a meet and greet and take care of us, and it was awesome. So obviously proud to be a veteran, but the stuff she does for veterans and just she's a great person. I think a lot of her, and it was a great event, and couldn't say enough nice things about Sophie Cunningham.
All right, thanks for a few minutes. Good luck this week. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Carl. Take care.
The tirade worked out last night by Stephanie White, and a money quote, which I wish I had before the game. But after the game, Caitlin Clark said there was no way we were losing tonight. We are a tight-knit group, and we are so together now after what White did with the tirade before the game and what's happened in the last week, which it's a WNBA. There's a ton of drama off the court, and there's politics and everyone jumping in. You got to say this about the foul. You have to say that. But they can score, I'll tell you that. I don't know if they're going to defend, but they can score with anybody.
Oh, they're entertaining. But and that's the shame of it, because there's a lot of great basketball being played in the WNBA. Unfortunately, the focus gets taken away to 8 million other things other than the game.
Right. Win-lose coming up next, some vicious beats, and an update on Forbes' estimates of the world's most valuable sports teams.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, here we go. An eclectic mix, as always. Another award-winning edition of You Cannot Be Serious. Here we go.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Monday night, Paul, I bet a first 5 under after the first inning in Toronto. Sox in Toronto. The Sox are in this lull. Sonny Gray's pitching. Tyone got through the first. I bet an under 3.5 first 5. We got there 1-0 Toronto. I even watched the 6th inning. Now I got to go somewhere. I'm in the car. I'm in the car not 10 minutes, and I had 3 different folks texting me, did you see what just happened in Toronto? And they're talking about. So we'll go back to the situation. First and third, Red Sox are batting in the top of the 7th. 1 out. Anthony Siegler's on third. Nick Sogard's on first. Rafael is at the plate. Simeon Woods Richardson, weak in the knees, I call him. Not SWV, but SWR. First pitch, Rafaela hits a shallow fly ball, medium fly ball to center. Now, there's a great view from behind home plate of a stationary camera that was broadcasting this game. The scoreboard said 2 outs before the pitch was thrown. While the ball was in the air, the scoreboard operator changed it back to 1 out and then 2 outs when he caught it. But both Red Sox runners took off like there were 2 outs. So Siegler from third crosses home and heads to the dugout. Yeah. Sogard rounds second and is heading to third, right? They thought there were 2 outs. Ball comes in from center to second. They throw it over to Vlad Guerrero, who steps on first for the force out of Sogard, which is the 3rd out. Now, my friends are telling me on the text they're in New York. They're going to New York. They've been in New York 10 minutes trying to get a ruling. I said, what happened next? Toronto runs off the field. Everybody's in their dugouts. And the umpires go over and they're talking to the Toronto manager, Schneider, another Mensa member. And they're explaining to him. I said right away what was going to happen. I said the run from third scores. Everyone is always assumed to have tagged up unless you appeal, right? And they didn't, and they left the field. And so one of my friends said, so if there was no way once they went to first, the run had to score. No. There is a provision in the Major League rulebook about a fourth out. As long as the defense stays on the field, they could then throw over to third and appeal correctly. The runner left early from third, and it's effectively a fourth out, but he erases the run. It didn't. They called New York. Chris Guccione was the crew chief. What a bungling of it. This is like Clete Blakeman trying to explain a ruling. Boy, was this a disaster.
Yeah.
It's a timing play. It's this, it's that. At the end of the day, the run scores. It's now 2-1. Why did he have to announce the score? I don't know. But I say shame on the Blue Jays for not knowing the rules. You're paying somebody to tell you if you should challenge something. Shouldn't you have a rules expert in the box as well that tells you what to do in that situation? Toronto Blue Jays.
You cannot be serious.
I think this is the first time we went to swimming since no hyperbole with the Polish swimming team in the Olympics.
I think you're right.
But this swimming got interesting because there were layers to this. USA Swimming has announced that they have suspended the CFO, Corey Hilliard, and have denied him any access to data or their financial system. Well, what's behind this story? Well, it turns out Hilliard, who was hired in December, previously was an official in the athletic department at the University of Colorado and oversaw the swimming's Nike Elite program. During the time when he held this position, he, quote, stole $9,500 in benefits that he used for himself and was in fact arrested on this charge. What's beyond unbelievable here is that USA Swimming, in their vetting of the position to hire a new CFO, they said, well, in our background check and in the vetting process, we didn't uncover this arrest. Are you kidding me? You know how many people we hire here, Paul? We have 3,000 employees. Like, we're hiring 15 people a week. That's just normal turnover. Everywhere they've lived, you go out. We have a service that does this. It does a background check. They check court records and arrest records in every county a person's ever lived in. Because some crimes you're not going to hire them for, right? Fraud crimes, crimes against, small children or dogs, I would say. You would not hire people that you would want working for you. But USA Swimming did not find this out and hired this CFO. Wait, it gets better. There was a lady they hired to be their CEO. She was the former AD at Delaware and a renowned swimmer at Michigan, Chrissy Rawak. She had to resign 9 days after being hired after they found out she was the subject of an abuse complaint at Safe Sports, which is an organization where athletes can go and report abuse. Now, I don't know. I don't want to say she was guilty of it. But again, in their vetting process, they didn't find this out, and they hired somebody and then had to go back and have the person resign or put him on leave. USA Swimming.
You cannot be serious.
And now, finally, Paul, we're going to go to a golf story. I don't know.
Oh, it's
the hole-in-one story.
I forgot to mention. Yes.
Paul, the hole-in-one story. I don't know if this is worse than the guy, the basketball coach that was running broads from San. I mean, this what a despicable character this guy is. Did you guys read?
Is it Zach
An
Holland?
amateur golfer, Zach Holland. An amateur golfer has been forced to resign from his membership at a St. Louis area club after admitting to a scam where he faked making a hole-in-one. Zach Holland's the guy, former college player, and is reportedly a 2 handicap, was thrown out of the Winghaven Country Club. The story is ridiculous as to what he did, okay? So, he completed the first 3 holes with his group, all right?
I'm so glad you're mentioning this.
But the story of his concocted scheme, the malice.
Yes.
He told his playing partners he needed to take a personal phone call, allegedly regarding his mortally ill grandmother while they were going to play the 4th hole. He said in order to keep up with the pace of play, he would tee off without them and go ahead and complete the hole and meet them on the green. When he reunited with the group, Holland said to his partners that he had thinned his tee shot and did not see where the ball ended up. The group then discovered the ball was in the cup and assumed that Holland had made a hole-in-one and celebrated, contacting the superintendent. Look at the guy with the trophy. He should be arrested for grand larceny, this guy. He said, I made a mistake. It was a lapse of judgment. He plotted the whole thing out. You know what he's concerned about, though? He's concerned about threats to his family. Is this the biggest cop-out now? Everybody, they're threatening my family. They're threatening my... Put this guy in jail. Let his family fend for themselves. Zach Holland.
You cannot be serious.
Yeah, baby. Good.
What a joke.
A-. Strong.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks.
Could have done without the swimming. But this was, you know who?
The vetting, though. I'm taking you behind the scenes of the vetting process. The background checks.
I read this. This came down when we were on the air. And I'm talking about with Moose, and I forgot about it. I'm like, this is the craziest thing. You know, OJ cheated at golf, too.
No, I didn't know.
Big cheater at golf.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, right. Okay, so how about an NFL future?
Listen, I know you're loath to when people bet on the teams from Minnesota, but this has got to be the last stand for O'Connell this year, right?
Yeah.
They finished 9-8, and oh, by the way, how dumb were they to win their last 3 games? So they don't. They'd have this Lions schedule that everybody's talking about.
I know.
The Lions 15-2. If they're bad, they're going to win 12. They would have had this schedule anyhow. They finished 9-8 with the worst quarterback play they've had in the history of the franchise, right? Flores has had a top 7 defense 4 years in a row, and you have a major upgrade in Kyler Murray. If he can learn the playbook, this is O'Connell's last stand, Paul. This is year 5. He hasn't won a playoff game yet. The Golden Boy. They're going to move on from him. Kyler Murray's trying to play for a contract. I have to believe. This is what I did. I bet Vikings playoffs.
Yep.
Vikings playoffs plus 155.
Cosign. Good job. Over the win total as well.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to get there with your White Sox division ticket?
I don't know. I could have, when I sat there 2 weeks ago and I said I'm more scared of the Tigers than anybody, but if they deal at the deadline, I'm still more scared of the Tigers than anybody. My friend was smart. He bet Tigers 3-1 to make the playoffs. You could still win both ways. I'm going to have to bet the Tigers. I have to at 25-1. I have room to maneuver.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pull the trigger. The Tigers might be leading the division by Sunday.
That's
2 more
true.
with the Guardians, 3 with
Isn't
the
that
White
something?
Sox.
What
a sickening loss for the White Sox last
I
night. When you
can't
got your ace give you 7, a 1 run. You cannot lose that game.
Moose asked me earlier, in light of the Lakers news, if you could own one pro sports team, who would it be?
Oh, that's a great question.
It was a
isn't
great
it?
question.
Maybe. What about college? Pastner says he's going to sell his basketball team. Anyhow, what a buffoon that guy is here that we got at UNLV. One pro sports franchise.
Cubs, Lakers, Knicks, Yankees?
Cubs would be the most fun.
Yeah.
Probably the Cowboys would be the smartest move because of the national brand. Not Yankees. No, I have no interest in being associated there.
No interest.
There's my short list for you. Blackhawks are interesting too. You got nowhere to go but up if you bought the team right now. You can't do any worse, and you got Bedard locked up. Those are my top 3.
Okay, we'll put the baby to bed with this. All this, the 3 biggest stories the last 2 weeks have been because of what someone has said, a player, a coach, or what a politician has done and chimed in.
Yeah.
Does all this go away in the WNBA if they just hire a competent commissioner?
They could solve a lot of it. I said she because they will never hire a man, but you could solve a lot of it. You have to have somebody that just puts away the nonsense here. It's all just such nonsense. And I think if you have somebody strong running the league that said they won't tolerate all the nonsense, you would get the ownership in line, and you would get the players' union to try to come along too. But it's fun fodder too. You can't stop because the stories are so ludicrous. You clothesline somebody, how can you be shocked that you're get thrown out of the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. All right.
But the coach with the bench in front of it didn't see it, and she didn't look at a replay. But she went to reach out to her former player, Carrington, to make sure she was okay. Not her player. But she backs her team and then cussed everybody in the media out to tell them she backs her team. Why don't you ask the 12 girls at Vanderbilt that entered the transfer portal after Stephanie White was their head coach about how she backs her team?
All right. Very good, my friend. Strong stuff. The 28,000 in Circa Survivor. That was phenomenal.
Thanks, Mark. Always a pleasure talking to you.
How about a story that's getting underreported in Major League Baseball? What happened to this guy all of a sudden?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Time for Matt Youmans. Here come a plethora of picks. We have 6 preseason games tomorrow. Matt, we got the Bengals who were up to almost 7, got up to 7.5 rather in this game, now down to 6.5. after the retirement of Teddy Two Gloves. Going to be a ton of Luke Altmaier. What are your thoughts on the Lions and Bengals game to start the slate tomorrow?
Paulie, you remember our old buddy Chuck Edel, right? Have you talked to Chuck recently?
Right, it's been a while, but he is the best at the preseason.
He is the best at the preseason. I was talking with Chuck yesterday, and he was speaking about overreactions in the market.
Uh-huh.
And I think this might be one of them a little bit, because when you look at the Lions-Bengals game, it's obvious why the line moved, because Teddy Bridgewater, who you talked about there, retired on Sunday, and that line jumped up quickly. Luke Altmaier, rookie from Illinois, is going to get the majority of the snaps for the Lions, and I don't believe Jared Goff's going to play at all. I think it's going to be Luke Altmaier most of the way. Josh Dobbs just signed on Sunday. So that's obviously a bet against situation there. And the Bengals plan to play starters a little bit, but not much. So you got Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, but behind those two, who aren't going to play a whole lot, if they play much at all, is going to be Josh Johnson and Sean Clifford. And so that's basically who we're going to be betting on here and laying 6.5 points with the Bengals. I think this number's gotten a little bit too high. Well, it did reach 7 at DraftKings on, I believe, on Monday night. It's dropped back to 6.5 a little bit. I'm not going to touch this game. I understand the bet against situation here for the Lions with Luke Altmaier at quarterback, and I really don't like him. But again, I think that's probably a few too many points to lay at a preseason game, so I have to stay away from that one.
Matt, how about the Packers and the Steelers with Jordan Love going to get a little bit burned for Green Bay early?
You know, it's interesting because we're talking about Lions and Bengals, and a lot of bettors will chase the steam when they see these lines start to move. And if you don't get the good number, a lot of times you just need to stay away. Well, this game is interesting, too, because the Steelers were favored at one point. They were 1.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
News comes out that the Packers are going to play Jordan Love and some starters, and the Packers have now flipped to 2.5 point favorites. And I kind of like the Packers quarterback situation. I think it's one of the better ones in the NFL for the preseason. Behind Jordan Love, you got Tyrod Taylor, who's a veteran who can make plays. Kyle McCord, very good pocket passer, and Kyron Drones, who's a mobile quarterback. So that's really an ideal situation for the Packers. But to me, the Steelers should be a bet-on team in the preseason, too. Aside from Big Mike, who I don't like, you got Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Drew Aller behind Aaron Rodgers. And I like Rudolph, and especially Will Howard. And I think Will Howard's a bet-on quarterback in the preseason when he gets in for the Steelers. So unless you got the good number with the Packers at +1.5, or you got Pick'em or -1, I wouldn't touch it at this point. There are a lot of preseason games that tend to end in ties or land on 1 or 2 points. So you got to be careful laying 2.5. It's not the typical 3 is the key number in the preseason. But that's why the Packers did get bet up. I think the Packers should be a bet-on team in the preseason. Paulie, I don't know if you know this, if you talk to your Raiders source, but you know, last year during the draft, Chip Kelly wanted to draft for the Raiders. He wanted them to take Will Howard somewhere around the 4th round, and they declined. And John Spytek and the Raiders, the new Raiders GM, took Cam Miller from North Dakota State, and they took a couple quarterbacks who were no longer on the roster. But Chip Kelly wanted Will Howard for the Raiders, and the GM wouldn't take him. I think Will Howard's going to be a really good backup quarterback for the Steelers.
Interesting. Okay, good information.
Yeah.
Speaking of great information, get up to vsin.com, or they tweeted it out as well. Matt tweeted it. Got to get the preseason quarterback depth chart up there at vsin.com. Got to lock in now. 6 games tomorrow. How about the Raiders 1.5 against Arizona tomorrow?
All right, so as our old buddy Jimmy Vaccaro, the great Jimmy Vaccaro, used to say, trends don't pay the rent, right? The trends definitely point to the Cardinals here, right, because the team with a game under its belt usually has an advantage. Cardinals played in the Hall of Fame game. They should have an advantage here, and the trends point to that. I'm going to try to buck that trend here. I'm just talking with a couple of reporters who cover the Raiders, and everything I've seen in press conferences and read in stories, I think the Raiders are going to take this game semi-seriously. They had it open to the public workout at Allegiant Stadium last night. Kirk Cousins probably going to play a little bit in this game, and behind Cousins, even if he doesn't play, I don't care if he plays or not, but behind Cousins, you really have a pretty good situation here with Fernando Mendoza trying to push Cousins for the number 1 job, Aiden O'Connell, who's trying to push Mendoza for the number 2 job. Believe it or not, there's a thought within the Raiders organization that if Cousins went down with an injury, they would rather play O'Connell than Mendoza. They really want to sit Mendoza for the first month of the season or so. And then the fourth quarterback is Jacob Clark, 6'5", 220 QB out of Missouri State. But the bottom line here is I think the Raiders are a pretty good preseason team to bet with a new coach and a quarterback competition. Those two things you look for. There are 10 new coaches in the NFL this year. One of them obviously is the Raiders coach, Clint Kubiak, and then the quarterback competition's live here with 3 guys involved in it. The last 10 weeks of last season, Arizona had the worst defense in the NFL. If you watch the Hall of Fame game, that Arizona defense is still a disaster. So I think the Raiders should be the play here. I'm going to try to beat that trend. I like Raiders -1.
Matt, how about Colts and Pats? India, 2.5-point favorite, Richardson at quarterback.
Do you want to bet on Anthony Richardson, Moose? What do you think?
Not really, no.
I don't either. And I don't think the Colts, I don't know if he's going to be with the Colts much longer. Daniel Jones, who knows how long he's going to stay healthy. But I wouldn't be surprised if Riley Leonard is the Colts starting quarterback sometime in the first half of the season. And he's the number 2. I definitely don't want to bet on Anthony Richardson, number 3, and Easton Stick as the 4th quarterback. As far as the Patriots go, and I put this quarterback depth chart up at vsin.com. You can check it out if you're interested in handicapping the preseason. Behind Drake May, Tommy DeVito.
Yep.
And former Texas Tech quarterback Baron Morton. That's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. But I definitely don't want to bet on Anthony Richardson here.
I am with you Saturday morning. Browns at the Bears. All the injuries with Chicago already, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Watson will play the first half. Then it's Sanders in the third quarter. Cleveland now 2.5. Walk me through this one.
All right. So believe it or not, last year the Browns were 3-0 in the preseason. You look at their quarterback situation, and it's a circus and a clown show.
Yep.
But it can be a good situation for the preseason, especially here with Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. And you know what? You get into, I don't know if he's going to play this week, but you get into future games. Taylon Green is a really good dual threat quarterback who's a 4th QB and can make plays. The Bears, there are 2 aspects of this handicap, Paul, and I know you've talked about it. The Bears' injury situation is a real problem. The injuries are piling up, but it goes beyond Kobe Bryant, the safety, who's out for the regular season, Luther Burden, wide receiver, who's going to be out for a while. They've got a bunch of injuries piling up. And last year, I talked about the new coach angle. Ben Johnson of the Bears was 2-0-1 in the preseason. He cared about winning in August last year. I don't think he cares about winning this game or this preseason. He's got to get this team healthy and ready for week 1. Behind Caleb Williams, who's not going to play, I don't believe he's going to play here, is Tyson Bagent, Case Keenum, and Miller Moss. I think you're going to see mostly Tyson Bagent and Miller Moss. But again, the problem is the Bears, I don't even think Ben Johnson wants to play this game. And with the Browns, you got to think Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, they got a lot to prove here. They're fighting for a job, and Dylan Gabriel when he gets in the game. It's interesting. The steam is on the Browns. You don't hear that too often. But the Browns are now up to 2 at circa, 2.5 at most places across the board. I was a little late here. I actually laid Browns -1, and I think the Browns should be the right side. You got everything you want here. You got a new coach, even though I don't like the coach, and Todd Monken. You got a quarterback competition. You actually got a Browns team with some talent. I think the quarterback's going to hold this team back ultimately. But in this game, with all the Bears' injury problems, I think it should be Browns all the way. Paul, what number did you lay on this?
I did $1.40 on the money line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the Browns should be a good bet. You're not going to hear me say that very often during the regular season, but I think the Browns should be a good bet this week.
With you, buddy. Thanks a lot, Matt. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks.
Yep. This is troubling news also before the segment started. Apparently Cashman and Boone are going to get contract extensions. All humans is livid. Just ruined his appetite. Oh, no. He's sick to his stomach.
I told you earlier Boone's not on the hot seat.
Oh,
but let's
my
be
God.
honest. Like, let's look at it this way. Like, Hal doesn't, I know he's down in Tampa, but if you look across New York City and look at what David Stearns has done to the New York Mets, doesn't that make Brian Cashman look a lot more appealing based on the fact that the Yankees make the playoffs 74% of the time under Cashman. Think about that. 74% of the time they're in the postseason.
No, but the problem, it's what you said earlier, though. The whole mindset changed with championship or bust. I mean, 2009 is a long time ago. That's unacceptable.
That's gone.
That's a mistake.
That's gone.
$18 for a beer? I better win some titles, okay? Come on, $25 for a slider? What we're betting coming up next.